Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Odyssey Podcast. I'm Eden.
And I'm Theo. This podcast is a space where you can relax and listen to real English, spoken slowly and naturally.
There's no pressure here. You don't need to take notes or understand every single word. You can just listen and let the language come to you.
Today's topic is about talking to anyone and keeping a conversation going. By the end of this episode, you'll know how to start conversations in everyday situations, how to keep them going when your mind feels blank, and how to end them politely and comfortably.
This topic matters because conversations don't usually fail in big ways. Most of the time, they fade quietly.
You don't argue. You don't say something wrong. You just don't know what to say next. And that feeling can make you avoid conversations in the future.
Yeah, a lot of people think the problem is their English level, but very often it's just not having simple strategies.
Exactly. Even native speakers experience this.
So today, we'll talk through common situations, explain what helps conversations flow, and then show short example dialogues. Before every example, we'll explain what's happening and what to listen for. You can listen, repeat with us, or just relax and follow along. All right, let's begin.
Let's talk about starting conversations. For many people, this is the most uncomfortable part. You might want to talk to someone, but you don't want to interrupt them, bother them, or seem strange. This often happens in places you go to regularly, like a coffee shop. You start recognizing faces. You don't know their name, but they feel familiar. And that familiarity actually helps start a conversation. The important idea here is this. You don't need a perfect opening line. You just need a shared moment. Talking about the place you're both in feels natural. Before this example, listen for two things: a simple greeting and the comment about seeing someone often. Here's a short example of starting a conversation in a coffee shop.
Hi, I see you here a lot. I'm Eden.
Oh, hi, I'm Theo. Yeah, I come here almost every morning.
Same here. Their coffee is really good.
It really is. What do you usually order? This works because it feels relaxed and honest.
Now let's talk about what happens after the conversation starts. This is where many conversations stop. You've already said hello, you've talked about the coffee, and then there's a pause. In that moment, your mind might go completely empty.
Yeah, it feels like your brain suddenly shuts down.
Exactly. What helps is remembering that conversations move forward with curiosity, not cleverness. You don't need a new topic. You just need one small follow-up. A very useful strategy is taking a basic question and going one level deeper. Before this example, listen for the follow-up question.
So, what do you do?
I work in marketing.
Oh, interesting. What do you enjoy most about it?
That one question invites more detail and keeps the conversation moving.
Now, let's move into another powerful way to keep conversations going: talking about the future. When people first meet each other, they often stay focused on the present. They talk about where they are or what's happening right now. That's normal, but those topics can end quickly.
Talking about the future opens the conversation in a gentle way, and it doesn't have to be serious or dramatic. When we say the future, we don't mean big life plans. We mean small things, something coming up soon, something you're excited about, or something you hope to do.
I like future questions because they feel positive and they don't usually feel too personal.
Exactly. You're not asking about someone's past or private life. You're giving them space to share something hopeful. A very useful question is, what are you looking forward to this year? Before this example, listen for how the question stays open and relaxed. What are you looking forward to this year? I'm hoping to travel more.
That sounds nice. Is there a place you really want to visit? This question allows short answers or longer stories, and both are okay.
Now let's slow things down a bit and talk about lifestyle. This is one of the best conversation areas when you want to move past small talk, but you don't want to get too personal.
Lifestyle questions feel safe because everyone has a way they live their life. They might not have a perfect answer, but they always have something to say.
And especially today, many people feel tired, busy, or overstimulated. So talking about rest, habits, and energy feels very relatable.
Yeah, I notice that when someone asks me how I relax, I feel more comfortable answering than when someone asks something very direct.
Same here, it feels softer. Instead of asking, "What are your hobbies?" which can feel a bit formal, you can ask questions like, "What do you like to do when you want to relax? How do you usually spend your evenings? What helps you feel better after a long day?" These questions don't demand anything impressive. They allow simple, honest answers. And the key thing isn't just the question, it's the reaction. A conversation grows when you react kindly, even if your lifestyles are different. Before this example, listen for how the speakers react and then share something small about themselves. Here's an example with a new coworker. "So, what do you usually do to relax after work?"
I usually go for a walk and listen to music.
"That sounds really peaceful." "I'm a bit different. I usually stay home and watch something light."
That phrase, "that sounds really peaceful," is important. You're not comparing, you're appreciating. And "I'm a bit different," or "I'm the opposite," is a friendly way to share your own habit.
I like that phrase because it doesn't judge.
Exactly, it keeps the tone warm. Lifestyle talk also gives you clues about the other person. Are they social or quiet? Do they like routine or variety? You don't need to analyze it deeply, just noticing helps the conversation feel human. Thanks, Eden. That was very helpful. Now let's talk about something very important: sharing. Many English learners are very good listeners. They ask questions, they nod, they say, "oh," and "yeah." But they forget one thing: conversations are not interviews, they're exchanges. If you only ask questions, the other person might feel uncomfortable. They might wonder, why isn't this person sharing anything? And sharing doesn't mean telling your life story, it means offering small pieces of yourself. One of the best ways to do this is by sharing something unfinished, something you're still learning or adjusting to. A very natural phrase is, "I'm still getting used to." This phrase is powerful because it shows honesty. It tells the other person you're human. Before this example, listen for how sharing creates connection. How long have you lived in this area?
About 6 months.
Oh, same. I'm still getting used to the neighborhood. Everything feels new. That one sentence does a lot. It shares experience, it invites empathy, and it opens the door for the other person to respond.
I agree. I actually use that phrase a lot when conversations with other people, without oversharing too much.
Me too. It takes pressure away. You can use it with work, language, places, routines, and it often leads to deeper, more real conversation.
Thank you, Theo. Now let's talk about one of the trickiest places to talk to people: public transit. Buses, trains, subways, these are shared spaces, but people are often in their own world. So the goal here isn't a long conversation. The goal is a small, respectful moment, and that starts with observation, noticing something neutral that the person chose: a book, a podcast, a sports logo. These are safe because they're external. You're not commenting on the person, you're commenting on the object. Before this example, listen for how the conversation stays light and optional. "Is that the new City Stories book?"
Yeah, it is.
"Oh, nice. I've seen it everywhere. Do you like it so far?" If the person answers briefly, that's okay. If they expand, you can follow. And if the conversation ends quickly, that's normal.
I like these short conversations because there's no expectation.
Exactly. They're small but meaningful.
Sometimes these short exchanges actually feel very human.
Especially in quiet spaces.
Now, let's move to classes and group settings. These are actually great places to talk to new people
Why do you say so, Theo?
because everyone there has a shared reason for being there. And very often, people feel nervous. Talking about that nervousness helps break the ice.
I still feel nervous in new classes.
Same, even if I chose the class myself. Admitting that feeling makes you relatable, and it invites the other person to be honest too. Before this example, listen for how shared feelings build connection. Is this your first time here?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Same. New classes always feel strange at first. This works because you're not pretending to be confident, you're being real. And real conversations don't need perfect confidence, they need sincerity.
Theo, let's talk about something many people ignore: signals. Good conversation is not just about speaking.
I agree. It's also about listening with your eyes.
Exactly. Giving short answers, looking away, checking your phone, these can be signs that the person is tired, distracted, or simply not in the mood. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you failed, it means you respected the moment.
Sometimes the most polite thing you can do is end the conversation early. That actually shows emotional intelligence. I used to take it personally.
Me too, but now I see it differently. Reading signals makes conversations feel safe, and safety is what makes people comfortable talking again in the future.
Now let's talk about endings. Ending a conversation well is a skill, and it's one that many people don't practice. A good ending usually has 3 parts. First, a signal that you're leaving. Second, appreciation. Third, openness, if it feels right. You don't need all 3 every time, but even 1 or 2 makes the ending feel respectful. Before this example, listen for how calm and natural it sounds. I should get going soon, but I really enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe we'll talk again sometime. That's it. No pressure, no awkwardness. And if you want to stay in touch, you can gently ask.
If you'd like is the key phrase. It gives the other person a choice, and choice makes people feel comfortable.
Now, take a moment and think about your own life. Where do you see the same people again and again? What's one simple question you could ask? And what's one polite way you could end the conversation? Talking to anyone is not about being impressive, it's about being present.
Those were some really good points there, Theo. Talking to someone is not about being impressive, it's about being in the present. What a quote! Before we end today's episode, let's slow down for a moment. We talked about a lot today: starting conversations, keeping them going, and ending them politely. But more than that, we talked about real moments. Small moments that happen in coffee shops, on buses, in classes, or at work. Moments that don't feel important at first, but actually shape how connected we feel to people.
Yeah, and I think that's something we sometimes forget. We imagine conversations have to be meaningful or impressive to matter, but most of the time, it's just simple ones that stay with us.
Exactly. A short talk with someone you don't know well, a few kind words, a shared moment. Those things add up.
And if you're listening to this as an English learner, we really want you to remember something. You don't need perfect English to have good conversations. You don't need big vocabulary. You don't need fast answers. You need presence. I still have conversations where I don't know exactly what to say next.
Same. All the time. And that's okay. Silence doesn't mean failure. Sometimes silence just means the conversation is resting.
One thing I've learned over time is that conversations are not performances. They're not tests. They're shared spaces. And when you see them that way, they feel lighter, less pressure. I wish I had understood that earlier.
Me too. I used to think every conversation needed a clear goal, like I need to be interesting or I need to say the right thing. Now I think conversations are more about listening and responding honestly, and allowing yourself to be a little imperfect.
That's a big part of what we talked about today. Being okay with not knowing exactly what to say next, using simple phrases, sharing small parts of yourself. and knowing when to end a conversation with kindness. Ending conversations is something people don't talk about enough.
Yeah, but it matters.
A good ending can leave someone feeling respected, even if the conversation was short. Sometimes the way a conversation ends is what people remember most. And ending politely is a skill you can practice. Simple sentences, calm tone, no rushing, no guilt. Something like, "It was really nice talking with you." That sentence alone carries a lot of warmth. And it's honest, because if you're listening to this podcast, it probably was nice talking, even if it was brief.
We also want to say something important. Not every conversation will turn into a connection. Not every conversation will continue, and that's completely normal. Some conversations are just moments, and moments are enough. You don't have to force anything. Respecting boundaries, yours and other people's, is part of good communication.
And if you take one thing from today's episode, we hope it's this: you're allowed to take up space in conversations. Even if your English is simple, even if you speak slowly, even if you pause, those things don't make conversations worse, they make them real. I think that's something we both care a lot about.
Yes, creating space for real, imperfect communication.
That's why this podcast exists. So if you're listening right now and thinking about a conversation you avoided or one you wish you had handled differently, be gentle with yourself. You're learning, and learning happens in small steps. Next time you're in a familiar place, a cafe, a bus stop, a classroom, try one simple sentence, just one, and see what happens. And if nothing happens, that's okay too. You still practiced, and practice is progress.
Before we go, let's ask you one final question. Think about the next conversation you might have. How do you want it to feel? Not how you want it to sound, but how you want it to feel. Calm, friendly, respectful. If you focus on the feeling, the words will come more naturally.
We're really glad you spent this time with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for practicing. And thank you for being part of the English Odyssey. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.